So go back to a simple approach to thinking, okay, if I could get $250, $250. You want to here's the fallacy in this, because when I first started understanding this, Larry Williams talked about this a lot in a lot of his systems. At the time in the 90s, he was wanting a trade or a model, a system, if you will, to be able to pay at least $350 per trade. Wait a minute. Did you just say Mr. Larry Williams, Mr. $10,000 to $1.2 million in the Robbins Cup in 1987? That guy said he wants to make at least $350 per trade, or he's not really interested. That means he's not even getting a full handle in the S&P back then, because it was $500 per handle. But because I was listening to that stuff, and it was a lot of number crunching, and it was very simplistic rules that made no sense to me, and many of them I still don't have any affinity for. But he had an approach that he wanted to take on, and it had to have this much in terms of back testing, saying it results and yields this much in terms of profit per trade. If you can find a setup that yields $250, that $250 can be scaled to whatever the fuck you want it to be. What's $250? That's 5 handles. What happens if you get 5 handles over the course of a week and that's all you got? Is that a bad week? Now, some of you jokers out there, this guy's talking about making $250 a week. Right, but you're the same person that's blowing your shitty ass account live on live stream, and we all watched you do it. $250 more than you had at the beginning of the week is still $250. If you were broke and had someone hand you $250, you'd be appreciative, right? If you just did that in the beginning, I'm not saying your whole career is this, but in the beginning, if you started with that mindset and all you were able to scrape out over the course of the entire week, because you did not push real hard, because you know that you're not ready to do that. You might want to win a lot every day. You want to be able to trade every single day. But that's not realistic, because you don't have the skill set to do that. And I'm reminding my son that he doesn't have to do this every day. He needs to tape read. He needs to execute in front of me, because he needs to be conditioned and desensitized from the fear he has placed on himself because of unrealistic expectations being acted upon. He tried to do it his own way. Well, everybody in retail does that. Everybody does it. They read a book. They think they are going to go in and apply that stuff. Just like they do it with my videos too. Oh, I watched this video on order blocks. I watched this video on optimal trade entry. Oh, I watched the Silver Bullet. I'm going out there and trading Silver Bullet, and then read their tweets to me. Why is this failing again? Well, first of all, you're doing it wrong. Everybody wants to be in a hurry to go out there and do something to make money, when you have to figure out what it is that you're going to do to mess yourself up. And that's why 1 year minimum is ideal. That's not what you want to hear, I know. But that's exactly what you need to hear. You can't figure this stuff out on a unique personal level, fast tracking it, trying to do it real quick. You cannot, it's impossible. Nobody's going to do this for you. Nobody's going to shorten it for you. Nobody's going to make it easier for you, because you are bringing the same bullshit that everybody else has brought into it. It's mental baggage. And social media brings more of that. Trying to stand out, trying to I got to defend my mentor. I got to make myself look profitable. I got to be able to keep up with the people that are renting cars. All this stuff, it's all bullshit. And if I did not stomp on the throat of Cameron to tell him that that's not the right way of doing it now, that's the direction he would go. Because you know what started all this stuff is he wants to go out there and troll the trolls. And I told him, I said, you're already doing it wrong. You can do that, but that can't be the reason why you're doing it. That can't be the reason why. Because if that's the reason why, you're going to rush. You're going to rush to do something that is not needed. It's not needed. You need to develop a skill set, because once I move on, if you want to live beyond what are able to live like now, you want to be able to earn a lot of money. This skill set can do that for you. But you have to grow over time. And you have to figure out what you think as a human being, what greed's going to feel like when you start feeling it, when you are profitable, when you're consistently profitable. That doesn't mean no losses. It means you close the week, you close the month, you're in gain, you're in profit. It doesn't have to be a lot. You're just not losing. There's nothing wrong with that. And I told him today, I said, I want you to see what it feels like to be at break even majority of the day. So when he wasn't getting it correct, I'd say, okay, buy here. And as soon as it gets above that level right there, I want you to close it. Do not use a limit order. I want you to feel it. I want you to feel it while you're in it. And as soon as I tell you go, you buy it. And when it gets to that level, you sell it. Sometimes he would sell it before it got to the level. I said, why'd you do that? Because I was afraid. Why did you not listen to me? You're not listening. 30 years of experience against yours. If you're not going to listen, you're not going to learn. And other times, he'd hold past the level. And it would pull back on him a little bit. I said, okay, see what you did there? You had the right amount of gain, but you held on too long. Why'd you do that? Because I thought I was going to keep going. I didn't tell you to do that. And he would get frustrated and start getting antsy. I said, why? What are you feeling right now? I'm done. I'm done, Dad. I'm done. I said, no, you're not. This is exactly where you need to be at. This is where you will do what you did by failing at this multiple combines. That frustration, that feeling of, I need to do something to replace this feeling. That's where it all comes from. Everybody that ever blows an account is in that state of mind. And if they don't start there, when they're in the trade that they know damn well has gone tits up and ain't going to pay out, they know they should get out and they don't. And then they're in that moment. They're in that mindset then. But they can't bring themselves to get out of the trade and close it. And I put him in those today. Lots of executions. Lots of them. And we hung around break even. And I told him, I said, what's it feel like? He goes, well, we were up a lot. We were down a lot. And I said, what's a lot? A couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. I said, see, you're saying a lot because that's in relationship to what you earn on a weekly payroll. But the most you lost and was down was like $500. And you only went down there one time. But every time you went up, you'd come back down a little bit. And every time you go back up, you make a new equity high and you come right back down in the middle, hang around, break even, go back down, break even, go up a little bit more. And then I said, now think about what you're doing. All these transactions, do you want your trading to be this many trades? Because there's a lot of people out on social media that will show you at the end of the day, this is what I made. Look what I was able to profit today. But they don't show you the 50 transactions they took. There's nothing wrong with working your ass off to get out of something. You know, if you're really gung ho about trying to, make a profit on the day, sometimes you're going to get into a market environment where you have to work a lot to get it to come out. Or if you go into draw and you do it wrong, you're human, you do it incorrectly, and you go into a losing trade, and then you try to get it back into another losing trade. You have to stop or know that you can come out of it. And that's why I told them 1.5% is your maximum, because that 1.5%, you should now know you've made $544 today. Think about that now. If you can make that, that means you can risk that. You got to be able to go out there and find, like Algorithmic and high frequency trading developers. They go out there and they look for a trade. It may be $100, it may not be $250. But what they're doing is they're looking for something that they specialize in, that algorithm will go in and monetize a fluctuation based on this repeating phenomenon that happens all day long. And that same little tiny little piece, one little bite of price action throughout the day, done hundreds of times, thousands of transactions a day. They're pulling out money that you can't even fathom, because they're taking something with a cookie cutter approach, something that they can repeat over and over and over again. Every single one of the PD arrays that I've taught you are just like that. That's what high frequency trading algorithms that people that have learned from me, they have used these things now. They can go out and find them on any time frame. That's why I went down into the sub 1 minute charts to tell you that this stuff is in there all day long. All day long. Oh, this is a shitty market. It's not moving around. It's in chop. We're in some real chop. The chop's real, man. The chop's real. No. Slicing and dicing on a sub 1 minute chart. There's still breakers and all that chop. There's still institutional order flows in all that chop on a sub 1 minute chart. You have to know where it's going to go. Even in a small little choppy range, if you want to call it that, you can anticipate what pool of liquidity it's going to go in that 1 hour. I can trade in an individual 60-minute range and beat everybody's asses on social media. And I said that, yes. That's not arrogance. That's just the facts. Because I understand what price is going to do. I understand how I can mess it up. And I can wait for those perfect instances where everything makes perfect sense to engage right then and there. And I know the times that hurt me. I know when it could look like there's an opportunity and it's really not there. Experience is going to dictate that. And I taught him today that there's going to be a lot of lessons that you're going to learn that are not going to be in my video. They're not going to be in our discussions. It's going to be what you have discovered about yourself. And you're going to find that you're going to excel in certain instances. Something just really revs you up. You see this opportunity. It makes so much sense to you. And you're not demanding it pays more than it would any other time. It's just a profitable opportunity. And you may not have the equity to do 100 contracts at the time when you start doing it. Start with 1 and you build up. And when you make enough equity to be able to do 2 comfortably and not go over 1.5% risk, then and only then do you do it. But every single trade that you make and put on, it's never to be taken where you can't at least get that same trade paid out to you at least 2 or 3 times in the same day. And I'll say that again in layman's terms for the folks that don't really understand or appreciate what I just said. 1.5% of your equity. If you can't find a trade 2 or 3 times intraday with that yield on individual basis 2 or 3 times, you have no business taking that risk on. Think about it. Because what you're doing is you're demanding that you find a needle in a haystack. In your limited understanding of the marketplace, in your limited experience doing it, in the most difficult market conditions I have ever been in, you're going to be the person that can just go out there and walk out there and do that. I'm sorry, but you won't. You won't be. So don't put yourself through it and discourage yourself through failure. Make allowances for yourself to spend a little bit more time learning how to do it. Do it the right way. So that way you enjoy the process. It should not be a draining effort for you to want to do this. And some of you, the way you talk in your tweets, it just seems like somebody's twisting your arm, and it ain't me. If you're not having fun doing this, it's not for you, or you're grossly doing it incorrectly. Making money is the end result of you doing things, learning how to do it, and having fun having done it, but not being on an emotional high that you have to have a win all the time, or that you're chasing it like a high. And the only way you feel that or understand and appreciate it is when you lose real money. The people that lose real money know exactly what I just said, and it resonates with them. But if you've only been in demo, you haven't even came to the dance yet. You're a spectator, not a speculator. And as soon as you put risk on the line, it all changes. So you have to have some measure of experience that you didn't just get last week watching a 5-minute trainer, the cliff notes of something that took 30 years to be placed in your hands now. There's a lot of things that you're going to learn about yourself, and you're going to laugh when you look back at how you thought you were ready to trade when you were not. You were not. I know I wasn't. There's no shame in admitting it. There's no shame in it. But right now, you would never do that because it sounds like you're not smart enough. That would be like admitting weakness. And that's exactly what my son's struggling with right now. See, he's at the peak of his testosterone. He's at the height of his strength, his muscularity. He's in his mind at his present age, he's at the peak. And young men, you know what it was like when you were a teenager. You thought you could jump over buildings and nobody could kick your ass. You were the best looking person in the world. Everyone wants to be with you. Unrealistic viewpoints of yourself. And see, he did damage to himself. He did damage. And he bragged to his friends. He bragged to his girlfriend that he was going to do this and he was going to do that. And he couldn't do it. Now he has that. He's wrestling with that. And now because he didn't do it successfully, like he walked out and thought he was going to be able to do it, he's doubting. And doubt in a hurt, bruised pride in a man, that's dangerous. It'll make you do stupid shit. It'll make you do dumb stuff. So most of today, it was me just cleaning those wounds, reminding him that that's normal. Dad went through that. I did all that stuff. I did all that stuff and worse. And there was nobody here telling me this is how you fix it. So I was trying to find my way through it all and making it longer than it has to be. And it's painful. So when I talk to you and I make these conversations available to you, it's for your edification. It's so that you don't go through it like I did. So that way you can avoid it and appreciate that. You know what? I don't want to make those mistakes. I'm glad ICT went through it. I'm sorry he went through it, but I'm glad he went through it and he's telling me how I don't have to go through that. That's the wisdom in the student that's listening to me. Not this guy talks and he likes to hear himself talk. No, I don't give a fuck if that's how you think. Get the fuck out of here. You're not somebody that wants to learn. You're a clown. You will be broke. You will be working the rest of your fucking life. You will not be able to be profitable as a trader. So just get the fucking stepping. The people that really want to be here and make themselves a profitable student that trades and earns their own money, they want to know how they're possibly going to mess it up. And I'm not going to talk to you always in a refined manner. I'm live. I don't have a filter right now. So I'm going to feel the impulses and the emotional charge that I remember going through. It's all real stuff for me. I went through this stuff and it was painful. And it's painful to remember what it was like for me. And I know that some of you are going through it right now. And it's normal. And you can get through it. You can grow out of it. Use it like rocket fuel. It'll be the deterrent to never doing those same things again because you know what it's done to you. You don't want to relive that. You have now a reason to appreciate the rattlesnake that those circumstances provide. You know, walking into that situation again, it's like a rattlesnake's tail just shaking.